Before we begin,
If you are the kind of person who can't look away from dark mysteries and real criminal investigations, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments where you are watching from.
because tonight's story isn't just another crime case. It is one that tore an entire family apart and left investigators chasing a truth more disturbing than anyone expected.
The flashing red and blue lights cut through the cold November fog like knives. Police sirens screamed down the quiet suburban road outside Cedar Ridge, a quiet neighborhood just outside Portland, Oregon, where crimes like this almost never happened.
Officer Mark Delaney slammed his patrol car door and ran toward the edge of the woods where a group of hikers stood frozen in shock.
One of them pointed silently toward the dirt trail. "Back there," the man whispered, his voice trembling. "We thought it was a mannequin at first."
Delaney moved forward carefully, his boots crunching against frost-covered leaves. The fog was thick, clinging to the tall pine trees like a curtain hiding something terrible. Then he saw it.
A body.
A woman lay partially hidden in the brush, her coat torn, her face pale against the dark soil.
The stillness of the forest made the scene feel even more unsettling.
Delaney crouched slowly. No movement, no breath. He turned his head toward the radio clipped to his vest.
"Dispatch, we have a confirmed homicide."
Within minutes, the quiet forest trail turned into a crime scene. Yellow tape stretched between trees. Detectives arrived, their headlights cutting through the fog.
Detective Laura Bennett stepped out of her SUV, already pulling on gloves.
She'd been investigating violent crimes for nearly 15 years.
But something about this case immediately felt wrong. Too deliberate, too personal.
She approached the body while forensic technicians began photographing the area.
"Who found her?" she asked.
Delaney nodded toward the hikers waiting near the patrol cars.
"Morning joggers."
"They say she wasn't here yesterday." Bennett studied the victim carefully. Mid-30s.
Dark hair, wedding ring.
But something else caught her attention. The victim's purse lay only a few feet away, still full.
Wallet untouched. Phone inside. That ruled out robbery, which meant one thing. This wasn't random. This was personal. One of the forensic technicians checked the victim's ID.
"Her name is Emily Brooks." Detective Bennett froze slightly.
The name was familiar. "Brooks," she repeated. The technician nodded. "Address says she lives about 15 minutes from here." Bennett exhaled slowly. "Call it in," she said. "We're notifying the family." But as the investigation began, something strange quickly surfaced.
Emily Brooks wasn't just another local resident.
Her husband was Daniel Brooks.
And in Cedar Ridge,
everyone knew that name. Daniel Brooks was the successful owner of a regional construction company.
He had money, influence, and a reputation as a family man who built homes across 3 counties. The kind of man people trusted. The kind of man people admired. The kind of man no one expected to be connected to a murder.
The Brooks family home looked exactly like you'd imagine. Large, perfectly landscaped.
White porch lights glowing in the early morning darkness. When detectives knocked on the door, it took nearly a minute before someone answered. Daniel Brooks stood there in sweatpants and a grey hoodie.
His eyes were tired.
Confused.
"Can I help you?" Detective Bennett spoke carefully.
"Mr. Brooks."
"I'm afraid we need to talk about your wife." Daniel's face changed instantly. "What about Emily?"
There was a long pause before Bennett spoke again. "I'm sorry to tell you, she's been found deceased."
Daniel staggered back slightly, gripping the doorframe.
No,
"No, that's not possible." But as detectives stepped inside, they began noticing small details.
family photos lined the walls. Emily smiling, Daniel beside her, their 2 children laughing on a beach.
On the surface, it looked like the perfect American family.
But appearances can lie. Daniel sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. "When did you last see your wife?"
Bennett asked. "Last night," he said quietly. "What time?"
"Around 8 p.m. Where was she going?"
Daniel hesitated.
"She said she needed some air. Went for a walk." "Did she say where?" "No," his voice cracked.
"She never came back." Detectives exchanged quick glances. Something about his answer felt rehearsed.
Too neat.
Too simple. Then Bennett asked the question that always revealed more than people expected. "Did your wife have enemies?"
Daniel shook his head immediately. "No."
Everyone loved Emily. "Any problems at home?" Silence filled the room. For just a second.
Then Daniel forced a small smile. "No, our family was fine, but investigators had already learned something different." When detectives began speaking with neighbors later that day, the image of the Brooks family started to crack.
A woman who lived across the street spoke quietly to investigators.
"Look, I don't want to get involved," she said. "But they fought. How often?"
Bennett asked.
"More than people knew." Another neighbor confirmed it.
2 weeks ago, I heard screaming from their house." What kind of screaming? The man hesitated, like someone begging. The investigation suddenly shifted. Emily Brooks' death might not have been random.
It might have started at home. Later that evening, forensic results from the crime scene began arriving.
Detective Bennett studied the report carefully.
Then her eyes narrowed.
The victim had defensive wounds on her hands.
She fought back.
But the most disturbing detail was something else entirely.
Under Emily Brooks' fingernails, forensic technicians had recovered skin cells, DNA. Someone had struggled with her. Someone she scratched while fighting for her life.
The lab began processing the sample immediately. Meanwhile, detectives returned to the Brooks house with a warrant. They searched everything: the bedroom, the garage, Daniel's office. But the most interesting discovery came from something small: Emily's phone. When investigators analyzed her messages, they discovered something Daniel hadn't mentioned. Emily had been texting someone shortly before her death. The last message, sent at 8:42 p.m., read, "I know what you did. We need to talk tonight." Detective Bennett stared at the screen. Who was she talking to? Then the lab called. The DNA results were ready. The skin cells found under Emily's fingernails matched someone in the system.
But when Bennett saw the name attached to the match, she felt a chill run down her spine. Because the DNA didn't belong to a stranger. It didn't belong to a criminal.
It belonged to someone much closer.
Someone inside the Brooks family. And when detectives rushed back to the Brooks house to confront Daniel,
they discovered something even more terrifying. Daniel Brooks was gone. His car was missing. His phone had been turned off. And inside the garage, investigators found a locked steel door leading down into a basement that wasn't listed on the house blueprints.
When they finally forced the door open and stepped inside,
what they found in that hidden basement changed the entire investigation.
And proved Emily Brooks' death was only the beginning.
If this case already has you questioning everything, wait until you see what investigators uncovered next.
Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and tell me in the comments, do you think Daniel Brooks is guilty? Or is something even darker hiding inside this family?
Because in the next chapter, the investigation takes a turn no one saw coming.